I have a tendency to overwork things. If something is good, I try to make it better. And sometimes that's exactly what ruins it. Because there's a point in almost every process where more effort stops helping and starts hurting. This is Cultivating Intelligence. And today, we're talking about letting go. Letting go, or more specifically, knowing when enough is enough. Because most of us are taught the opposite. Work harder, push further, keep going, don't quit. And sometimes that's good advice, but not always. There comes a point where the problem isn't a lack of effort. The problem is too much effort. And that's difficult for us to recognize because humans crave control. We want to believe that if we keep working, keep fixing, keep adjusting, we can guarantee a better outcome. But life doesn't work that way. There is a law of diminishing returns hiding inside almost everything we do. The first hour helps. The second hour helps. The 10th revision, maybe not. At some point, the return on effort starts shrinking, and eventually it becomes negative. Art teaches this lesson quickly. Every artist knows the feeling. You make a brushstroke, then another, then another. You keep refining, chasing perfection, and suddenly the piece feels lifeless and murky. The energy that made it interesting is gone, not because you didn't work hard enough, but because you worked too hard. The piece was finished. You just weren't ready to let it go. Gardening teaches the same lesson. A seed doesn't grow because you stare at it. A plant doesn't thrive because you constantly dig it up and check the roots. Too much water kills plants. I can attest to that. I'm a serial waterer. Too much fertilizer damages plants. It burns the roots. Too much intervention can become the problem. Nature has a rhythm, a pace, and much of gardening is learning when to act and when to leave things alone. The challenge is that doing something feels productive. Waiting feels uncomfortable. Trusting feels uncomfortable. Letting nature do its work feels uncomfortable, but that's often what is required. AI follows the same pattern. You get a good result, then you tweak it, then you tweak it again, and again, and again. Soon you're chasing an ideal version that may not even exist. The original response had clarity, momentum, and personality. But after 20 rounds of prompt edits, you're optimized it into something sterile. You've improved it right past the point where it was actually good. And honestly, relationships may be the clearest example of all. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every disagreement needs to be won. Not every problem needs immediate fixing. Sometimes we keep talking because we're uncomfortable with uncertainty. We keep explaining, we keep pushing, keep trying to force resolution. And in doing so, we create the very tension we're trying to remove. Many relationships aren't damaged by neglect, they're damaged by overmanagement, too much control, too much pressure, too much fixing. The same thing happens at work. Projects become bloated, meetings multiply, processes gain layers, reports gain reports. People continue adding because adding feels productive. But often the breakthrough isn't adding something, it's removing something. The hard part is that stopping doesn't feel like progress. Letting go doesn't feel like work. Restraint doesn't earn much recognition. Anyone can keep pushing. Not everyone can recognize the moment when pushing becomes counterproductive. That's a different kind of intelligence, a quieter one, a more mature one. The ability to recognize when you've done enough, when the plant needs time, when the painting is finished, when the answer is good, when the conversation has been said, when the project is ready, when the next step is not more effort, but trust. Because there's a point in every process where the skill shifts. It's no longer about doing more, it's about knowing when to stop. And that might be one of the hardest skills we'll ever learn. Over controlling a team is often mistaken for strong leadership. but it's actually a sign of discomfort with uncertainty. Leaders who try to control every decision, conversation, and outcome may feel productive, yet they often create the very problems they're trying to prevent. Control creates dependency, not trust. When leaders insert themselves into every decision, the team stops exercising judgment. People wait for approval instead of taking ownership. Over time, the organization becomes slower because every decision has to flow through one person. The leader becomes the bottleneck. Control also reduces learning. People learn through experimentation, mistakes, and problem solving. If a leader constantly intervenes, team members never build confidence or resilience. They become executors instead of thinkers. In nature, a plant grown in perfect greenhouse conditions often struggles when moved outside. A team protected from all discomfort behaves similarly. It lacks adaptability. Control suppresses creativity. Great art needs room for interpretation. Great teams need room for ideas. Micromanagement narrows possibilities because people begin optimizing for what the leader wants rather than what may actually be best. Eventually, innovation disappears because people stop taking risks. Control destroys psychological safety. When every action is monitored or corrected, people become afraid of making mistakes. They begin withholding ideas. They avoid difficult conversations. They stop challenging assumptions. The organization may appear orderly on the surface, but underneath it becomes quiet, passive, and disengaged. Ironically, the leader has gained compliance while losing commitment. Control creates diminishing returns. The first few controls are useful: clear expectations, defined processes, accountability. But eventually, each new approval step, status report, and review meeting adds less value and more friction. Like overwatering a plant, too much leadership intervention starts damaging the very thing it was intended to improve. Control prevents emergence. Nature is full of systems that self organize, forests adapt, ecosystems balance, ant colonies solve problems without centralized command. Strong teams work the same. Solutions often emerge from interactions between people rather than from one leader directing every move. Overcontrol prevents these emergent solutions from occurring. And then there's the leadership paradox. The more a leader tries to control everything, the less capable the team becomes. The less capable the team becomes, the more the leader feels the need to control. It becomes a self reinforcing cycle. The highest form of leadership isn't the ability to direct every outcome, it's the ability to create conditions where people can succeed without your constant intervention. Just like gardening, leadership isn't about pulling on the leaves to make the plant grow faster. It's about creating the right conditions, removing obstacles, and then having the discipline to step back and let growth happen. So here's the question: where in your life are you still pushing, still tweaking, still trying to control the outcome, when what the situation actually needs is space? Because sometimes growth comes from effort, and sometimes growth comes from letting go. Knowing the difference is wisdom. Next time, we're talking about taste versus talent. This is Cultivating Intelligence.
This podcast explores ideas at the intersection of art, nature, and AI. The perspectives shared are intended to inspire curiosity and conversation, not to serve as professional advice. As with any evolving field, listeners are encouraged to think critically and seek additional perspectives.